Are you truly afraid of death? Or are you afraid that one day no one will remember you ever lived? We often think we fear death, but if you look closer, death itself is just a brief ending, a single closing moment. What truly shakes us is the vast emptiness after, when our name, our voice, the stories once shaped by our existence, fade from the memory of others. For thousands of years, humans have fought against being forgotten. Egyptian walls carved with the names of pharaohs, epic poems that immortalized Greek heroes, paintings, music, poetry, all attempts to send a piece of ourselves into the future. Because deep down, we don't just want to live, we want to be remembered. Science has a name for this: the Immortality Project, the personal quest each of us undertakes to outlast ourselves. Some leave behind great works, some leave behind monuments, some leave behind children, and some simply leave behind beautiful memories in the hearts of a few loved ones. But reality is harsher than we think. Human memory is far more fragile than it seems. Studies on memory reveal that the brain doesn't record truth like a camera. Every time we recall something, the memory is rewritten just a little. It fades, distorts, or even disappears. Which means, even if you were once someone's whole world, one day your image will blur, not because they want to forget you, but because memory cannot hold against time. And that's when the question appears: if every memory will fade, then what does it mean to try so hard to be remembered? Yet, we still try. We still take photographs. We still write diaries. We still retell the story of our first meeting. Because maybe, if we can hold on just a little longer, we can keep that image alive for a generation or two. From a psychological view, the fear of being forgotten is not just about ourselves, but about the value we leave behind. When we do good, when we help someone, when we love deeply, we want those things to last longer than we do. We want to believe that after we're gone, those moments still live in this world, as a story retold or an act of kindness passed on. But what if all of it will vanish too? What if just a few generations from now, no one even knows our name? It sounds hopeless. Yet that's exactly what makes now so precious. If everything will fade, then the time we are alive, the time we are remembered, is the time worth holding most. You cannot control when you will be forgotten, but you can create moments worth remembering, right now. Because memory is like a flame. It needs to be passed from one person to another. And if you do something beautiful enough, strong enough, someone will carry that flame further than you ever thought possible. And one day, yes, no one may remember your name, but perhaps a part of you will still exist. Not in an intact memory, but in an action, a habit, a way of living that someone took from you and gave to the world. Death will end your breath, but only forgetting can erase your existence. And between those two, which one will you choose to face? Imagine this. How many names were once the most important person of their time, now vanished from the memory of humankind? Kings who once ruled entire continents. Artisans who created masterpieces once worshipped by the masses. Warriors once called immortal. Now, if not mentioned in a few pages of history, you and I would never even know they existed. Human history spans hundreds of thousands of years, but most of us can only recall a few prominent figures. And even those are only the ones history chose to keep. The countless others who lived, loved, fought, laughed, and wept have been swallowed whole by forgetting. Neuroscience has a name for this: the law of memory decay. With each passing generation, the memory of a person becomes harder to preserve in its original form. Stories told from one mouth to another shift and bend, like a game of broken telephone, until they're reduced to fragments, or turned into legends whose truth is impossible to prove. So why do we keep fighting against it? Maybe because beneath every attempt to be remembered lies a deeper need, to believe we made a difference. Not everyone dreams of statues or history books, but almost everyone hopes to know that their existence made at least one other person's life better, even just a little. From an evolutionary perspective, that makes sense. Behaviors that helped a group survive, sharing food, protecting the young, passing on knowledge, depended on collective memory to endure. If those acts were completely forgotten, they could never become part of our cultural DNA. For tens of thousands of years, remembering the ones who helped the group was how societies kept trust alive. In other words, to be remembered was once a form of survival. But in today's world, where everything can be captured in photos, videos, and endless streams of social media, it feels like being remembered should be easier than ever. We store millions of images, thousands of messages, recordings of every kind. And yet, the paradox is, the more we store, the less we truly remember. Because real memory lives in the human mind, not on a hard drive, not in the cloud. And one day, when no one opens those files, they'll just become abandoned digital graves. So maybe what we fear is not death, but the second death. The moment the last person who remembers us forgets. That thought forces a question. If you knew you would be forgotten, would you live differently? Would you stop trying to carve your name somewhere permanent, and instead focus on moments that are small but whole? Would you trade leaving a legacy for simply living a day worth remembering? Maybe. The fear of being forgotten is actually a gift. It reminds us that everything is fragile, so the moments we do have become even more precious. Because immortality doesn't always mean having your name remembered. It can mean a smile someone carries for the rest of their life, a lesson that changes the way they walk through the world, a single moment that warms their heart on the coldest day. You and I, we will both be forgotten. But right now, while we still live in someone's memory, we can do something to make this world a little less cold. And maybe that's the longest lasting kind of existence we can ever hope for. Because in the end, the question isn't, how do I make sure they remember me? It's, when they do remember, what will they remember me for? It could be a story, a feeling, a small, quiet thing that only two people ever knew. And when we're gone, maybe a part of us will still keep moving forward in those moments. No name, no statue, just love. Thank you for staying until the very end of this video. If today's story touched you, leave a like, share it with someone who might need to hear it, and subscribe so we can meet again in the next story. Because who knows, maybe one day you'll leave behind something that will never be forgotten.